But at the end of the day, like, it's just having a chat, you know what I mean?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with SamPaul. We are sitting here today at Cirelli Coffee in Welland, and I am joined by my lovely guest Jodie, who is in this year's Adelaide Cabaret Festival.
Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
Adelaide
Cabaret
Fringe
Festival.
That's the one. Yeah.
Doing well. Anyway, thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm great, thanks. Yeah.
And we've just got our coffees, which, what was yours again?
Mine, almond milk latte.
Almond milk latte.
Yeah.
That's a different one. I haven't had a guest with an almond milk latte.
Oh.
And I've got our stock standard oat mocha. That's what I always do.
Very nice.
So yeah. So I guess let's start off. Just talk a little bit about your show. So what is it called, and how did that come about? Sort of like.
Yeah. So my show is called Have You Met My Grief? And I have named my show the same as the title of a book I wrote. Back in 2020, I wrote a book and published. And this is adapted from the book. It's not exactly the same.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
But I have used that story that's within the story to create the show. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Really cool. What prompted you to write a book? That's really cool.
So in 2019, I lost my husband to pancreatic cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I learned grief. The way grief showed up in my life, it was really interesting. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
As a society. So when I found myself having panic attacks and anxiety and suddenly feeling scared to leave my own home, I thought I was losing my mind.
Oh, wow.
But when I, started to reach out to other people and say, hey, did this happen to you? Looking for articles, looking social media pages and grief groups.
Oh.
Other people were talking about the same stuff, and it was like, wow, okay, this is actually quite a normal response.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it, so how do we know that? And when you're in it, it's a pretty horrible way to find out.
Yeah, definitely.
So I started to share a lot of my experience and prompted people to say, Jodie, write a book. You should put this in writing, get it down. And I was like, okay. So wrote the book and then had no plans to kind of do anything more with that book.
Yeah.
And then sort of started writing Cabaret and working with Amelia Ryan and Michael Griffiths with their mentoring program and crafted the show and ended up calling it the same name as the book, which fits really well.
Yeah, that's really cool. What a great way to kind of cause you always hear about you always hear about books being turned into movies, but I've never heard of a book being turned into a cabaret festival, and certainly not often by the same person. You get a Stephen King book and then someone will adapt it for a TV show. He might be an advisor or however it works, but you've taken the first step and then you've taken the next step. What I don't know, I don't want to say possessed you, but let's just say that because that's the first word that comes to mind. But what possessed you to take it from that to a cabaret show? Like, what was the...
Look, I'm really passionate about creating opportunities for conversations around loss and grief. A book is one way.
Yep.
Getting on a stage and offering a vehicle for people to connect to their own story is another.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think the arts are really powerful for doing that.
Yeah, most definitely.
When you read a book, you read from your own perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm watching a movie and you're watching the characters go through their journey, I guess, through want of a better word, in the movie, and you can feel yourself kind of connecting and empathising or, going along the journey with them from your own perspective.
Yeah.
And I think a cabaret show's going to offer that as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm not particularly super familiar with cabaret. I actually myself was involved in a cabaret show, but it wasn't a traditional, I guess what I'd consider a traditional cabaret show.
Yeah.
I'm a rapper by trade. That's what I do musically, and I was involved in this. And for me, cabarets always seemed like really a very singing orientated kind of medium.
Yep.
But I guess where I was kind of going with that, even though I don't think I went a bit off on the tangent there.
It's
I guess,
all
is that I guess if I was talking about wanting to connect with people about grief, cabaret probably wouldn't have been the first choice.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like a very fun, if that's the right way of doing it.
Well, this is the thing about cabaret. I think people consider it a very specific type of entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can bring a lot of real vulnerability, authenticity, emotion, and comedy and humour to a cabaret space. And, you know, there are songs in the show, and the songs I've chosen, there are a couple of songs that are actually part of the story, like they happened. I tell a story where these songs were part of that particular situation. But other songs I've chosen, the lyrics are powerful. They speak to the emotion of the time. They, like for example, I sing Coldplay's The Scientist.
Oh wow, what a
now,
great song.
It's a great song, right? But when I first heard that song, I didn't really, like, I knew about it, but when I listened to that song from the perspective of using that as a song in my show, I couldn't sing it without crying.
Yeah, wow.
It really, like, a lump in my throat. It was really powerful. I can do it now, obviously, but the lyrics speak directly to what was going on in the moment, and all of my songs are like that. I have a Reba McEntire song in my show.
Okay.
And while I don't talk about my Nana in the show, my Nana was a Reba McEntire fan.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of nice to bring that element into the show,
definitely.
As well.
You know, what came to mind as you were talking about that, about how the lyrics are very powerful. There's a saying that I see a lot around the place, social media particularly, and it's like, when you're happy, you listen to the music. When you're sad, you listen to the lyrics. And that just really resonated with what you were saying to me. I was thinking, that's like, and it kind of, even though at the start when I first said I did, cabaret would have been not the last, but definitely not the first choice. I would have thought for grief, the way you explain it makes so much sense because music is such a powerful medium.
Oh, it's
huge. And not only does it, other lyrics quite powerful in a song, but it's also, I often joke that music is like a time machine because you listen to a song and it just transports you back to a point in time that you first heard it or where something happened when you heard it, and it's like it was yesterday. And it's incredible. Like, I think if time travel were ever a thing, they wouldn't need a flux capacitor. It would be actually music. They'd plug in and go, play this song, and it would, you'd travel back in time.
You're absolutely right, SamPaul. Like, I think when we talk about grief, like we talk about people being affected by different things, music it can be hugely triggering.
Yeah.
Because a song will play and you'll automatically remember the person that you're connected to, a memory, coffee, smells, sounds,
senses,
things.
Basically.
Yeah, they all will trigger, for want of a better word, memories, both happy and sad in a sense of loss. So yes, music can be incredibly powerful in all ways.
Most definitely. It's interesting because they've got music playing in the cafe here, and I don't remember exactly when I would have first heard this song, but I had this feeling that it was my parents because it's definitely a bit before my time.
Oh, yeah.
But just hearing it, I'm just like, it makes me think of when I was a kid, my parents had this elaborate record collection, and it just makes me think that's probably when I heard this song, when I was probably too young to have my own real opinions on music, but it's just like, and it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling, because as we mentioned off camera, my mum passed away in July, and hearing something like this that reminds me of a time when she was there, and, like a big part of my life, then, it's just like, wow, I'm getting that, what we're talking about right now, it's just like happening, and it's like, wow. I love that about music, it's such an amazing thing.
It so is, like, and that's why I love about the arts, for having discussions around this stuff, because it is really powerful, and a lot can be said with a song, with a music, with the written piece, with
Definitely.
art, even like visual art.
Yeah.
You're looking at a painting and it can evoke emotion. Yeah. And I think connecting and really being able to sit with this stuff is powerful.
Yeah.
In order to heal and be able to work through that stuff, you do need to connect to that.
Yeah. I have to ask because, obviously today you're dressed absolutely beautifully in a bright pink top, and you've got this beautiful makeup that all sort of matches. But obviously, having said that, I know your show is sort of somewhat around grief.
Yeah.
But what can people expect when they see you on stage for the show? Will you be in bright colours at any point, or will it be, darker, more formal kind of? I
have chosen a blue sequin dress.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I've chosen blue is because that was my husband's favourite colour.
Oh, lovely. That's beautiful.
So there's a lot of little themes running through my show. So the blue is a nod to his favourite colour.
Awesome.
My promotional material has had a blue butterfly in it. And there is a blue butterfly on the cover of my book.
Oh, that's
so the connection there, yes.
And you mentioned earlier about there was a song that reminded you of your nana would have liked as well. So that's really, really beautiful. I love in art and music and anything creative, when artists put all these things into stuff that are subtle, but it gives the listener or the person who's consuming that art something to dig into and find. I remember when I was a kid, I got an album by a band called Mr. Bungle, and it was their second album, follow-up to their first one, which had been hugely successful. But when we bought the CD, because this was CD times back then, half the artwork was missing. It had like these big squares, like not cut out, but like blanked out. And then right at the back cover, it had this thing where you had to send $2, which wasn't very much back, wasn't a lot of money, but you had to send that to this address, and they sent you a sticker pack, and all the stickers went and made the rest of the cover art make sense.
Oh, wow.
And it just kind of, you reminded me of that, how you've got all these little symbols and little things that mean something to you and to the story, but that may not be quite apparent to the people watching straight away, but then they can learn that and dig into it and
absolutely. I think it is exciting to be able to, have a conversation about something that is uncomfortable as a whole, and sometimes I guess even a little bit taboo. But you asked about what can you expect? Well, the show itself is like a grief experience. It's unpredictable.
Wow.
Grief is unpredictable. Life is unpredictable. So there is an element of that. But people may have an emotional response to what they see and hear in my show.
I feel like
they may laugh and they may cry. But it is guaranteed to be a roller coaster, which is exactly what a grief experience is.
You're saying that, explaining it, and it's really great. But my first thought when you started saying that was what? If it didn't, I would be kind of a bit worried, because I feel like being on the topic that it is, you expect it to evoke the kind of emotions and feelings and responses, as you said, that you might expect if you were going through that. I mean, can you tell me when your show is happening and where?
Yes.
People are going to want to know that. That's the important thing, isn't it, really?
The Adelaide Cabaret Fringe Festival starts on Friday the 26th of May and runs till Sunday the 4th of June.
Fantastic.
So there are a number of shows within that period of time, different venues. You can go to cabaretfringefestival.com.au, I believe, to find shows and get tickets for all shows.
Excellent. I will look that up and get all the details and put it on the video in a link so people can find out where that is.
And check out Cab Live. There will be, the hub is at Piccadilly in North Adelaide, and there's late night lounge entertainment you might find really interesting.
Oh, wow.
So there's some open mic stuff going on. That sounds really, really exciting. So I'll be hanging out there.
Definitely want to come. That sounds amazing.
And my show specifically is Friday the 2nd of June at Diversity, and Sunday the 4th of June. So I've got a dinner and show on the Friday night, and a matinee on the Sunday.
Okay, fantastic. That's awesome. Well, make sure you guys check it out. And we'll put all the links to the tickets and all the information on the description of the video so people can look it up, buy tickets and come check you out.
I have had a great response to my show. I'm
Amazing.
sitting at like almost sold out. So I'm pretty excited about that. And
that's amazing.
It's amazing from the support for me personally, but I think a topic about grief, to see that people are willing to come and sit in a show about that makes me feel really good.
Yeah, definitely.
That, people, not that they want to, but the fact that they want to engage with
I mean, like we said
something.
before, it's about the difficult topic, and if people are willing to engage in that and come and see that, and they're obviously willing to open that conversation up for themselves and be part of the conversation, which is so important.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for coming on A Coffee with SamPaul with me, Jodie.
Thank you. I've loved it.
Hope you enjoyed your coffee. I know I did.
Cirelli, they do great coffee here.
Yep.
So
and I should just make mention to my shirt. Grow Clothing is my sponsor for my show. They give me all these really cool clothes, and of course to Cirelli Coffee in Welland, because they've let us do this without permission, which is how I roll. Most people that watch the show will know that I don't generally come in and pre-organise to come in and do a show. I just set up and do it, and no one seems to really mind. I think they actually like it, so it's great to have their support. And it's great to have you on the show. So thank you so much
for the opportunity.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Pleasure's all mine. Cool. Peace.